despite what their moms told them. They just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Wednesday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. There he is, at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. The Orange take care of business as they should. In a 95-66 win over Oakland, and Syracuse improves to 5-4 on the season. You'll hear from us, and we'll hear from you in fan feedback live in the Spotify Green Room app, and the Spotify Live app, and on YouTube Live. Also, Syracuse will host Georgetown this Saturday at 1 p.m. on ABC. We'll let you know what we think about that. Took a little poll. I'm going to let this thing linger for a little bit. I only was able to put it out for about an hour and a half. We'll talk about that in due time. Also, if you would, please, if you have an iPhone, and I don't care if you listen in the on the Spotify app. A lot of people like the Spotify app. Or if you listen in iTunes. But if you have an iPhone and you could leave a review for us, we would really appreciate it. Trying to break triple digits here, for crying out loud. Didn't think it was going to be this hard, but apparently it is. Also, Rhyme Time left a glowing review for us, which is much appreciated. And be like Rhyme Time. Say something nice. Give us 5 stars. And we'll love you for it. Plain and simple. Also, download the Spotify Live. What is the app? Spotify Live app. Yes, download that thing from your iOS or Android stores. Get it on your phone, okay? Sign up. All it takes is a username, email address, and a password. Go there, do that. Follow us at Cuse Militia. Sign up for notifications when we go live. And you could join some of the zany hijinks that go on inside the Spotify Green Room. And it is fun. It's a good way for you if you would like to get on the show. And it's a good way to chat. People ask questions there or give their fan feedback there, and all those fun things. So, all right, Joe, shall we jump right in and listen to what Coach has to say after the game? Shall we?
I think we shall.
Okay, here we go.
End of the first half, we started moving the ball better. Got it inside, made some plays. They don't shoot the ball well from the perimeter, and it's just hard for them to score. But we started out taking the shots they wanted us to take. I thought Bull did a great job of getting the ball to people, facilitating, and then he rebounded too. He got more rebounds in the first half than our other two forwards have gotten the last 2 games. So, we have to rebound better at that position. And, there's nothing else really to say about it. We have to do that. But we started moving the ball better first part of the second half, good movement. It was good experience. We had a lot of tough games. It's a good one. Questions? It's good. Got Malik into the game. We got some guys into play that haven't played. Malik's a good, solid player. He just, He's really good around the basket at that 4 position. We need somebody that does that, but we need somebody that facilitates too. And that's Bull does that better right now. But he's a physical player. He's going to be a really good player. But in certain situations, Bull is a better player for us. In other situations, Malik might be a better player for us. And we'll just have to see as the season plays out. It's not unusual for freshmen. I think Judah's shooting 15%. I think Justin and Chris are shooting about 25% for the 3. I think Benny's shooting 25% from the 3. And traditionally, freshmen do start slow. Not unusual. Buddy shot 17% the first 10 games his freshman year. Demetrius Nichols shot 17% for the year as a freshman. So we got to just be patient with them, keep getting them good shots. Chris is getting great looks. He is a really good shooter. We're not making them like we know we can. And that sometimes takes a while for freshmen. Maybe it takes I don't know. I'll be happy when he starts to make them, but right now he's not making them. You don't have to make threes to win. I mean, it's helpful, but it's not something you have to do.
Coach, how did you think Benny handled being a little bit more of the focal point of the offense in the second half?
He's trying to figure out what to do, and I'd like to see that happen.
Stepping aside from tonight's game and looking at Saturday, how special is it going to be to honor Pearl?
Yeah, I mean, Pearl's a great player. He's the most exciting player I've ever seen. It's great to be able to do that, to have his family here. Georgetown is a tremendously talented team. They just lost some games that they were well ahead of and could have won easily. A really good, solid, big team. Be a really tough game, and we just have to get ready for it. We're trying to get better. We're not anywhere near there yet. We're quite a long ways away, in my opinion, but we're trying to get better. That's what we'll try to do. We'll see you Saturday.
All right, Joe, start from the beginning as always. Obviously, a slow start as we expected, and that is one of those things that's baked in for me, and I wasn't really worried about it at all. Once they got going, dude, coach says, they finally get in a rhythm towards the end of the first half. Dude, they went on an 18-0 run. They just demolished that team at the end of that half, and that was pretty much all they wrote. Ended up 10 of the 11 scholarship players getting on the scoreboard, and to say that they got it going, they were just on fire. It was, I hate to say this as a Syracuse fan because it's Oakland, but it became quite boring watching them just destroy this team, dismantle this team. And you look, I understand. So normally I would get on here and I did, there's some truth to this, to say, well, it's Oakland, right? Okay, totally get it. But you did see what some of these guys could do without these veteran guys on the floor. And the way they were passing them, they were playing very unselfish ball when they didn't have to. When, Gerard's not on the floor and Jesse's not on the floor, there was 2 passes under the hoop at one point that ended up, I can't remember who ended up taking, but it was Benny and Bell, and was it John Bulb down there or something? I can't remember. But anyway, there was very unselfish play.
Yeah.
When they had time to shine. And that's exactly what the type of stuff I was looking for, and the type of thing I could take out of this game. Like, I didn't expect this game to be close. I expected them to start slow, but I expected them to be demolished. But they dismantled this team without the regular starters on the floor. It didn't matter.
Yeah,
so,
it got to a point, and this is what we wanted, though, right? And that's what's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that as a Syracuse fan, because everyone at the end of close games, it's cardiac Cuse. But then, you win a game by almost 30, and like you said, even Heather yesterday was like, this is boring. And it was like 10 minutes to go in the second half.
Yeah, right? I was like, holy cow, run the clock or something. I got to
watch it, And so, I wanted to see what the other guys could do, and that's what we talked about, previously in the last podcast was, essentially, hopefully having a chance to have it big enough lead to, have these guys come in and show what they can do, because some of these guys have left the door open for other guys to come and take playing time. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think a couple guys actually did. So
I feel like, and let's get into that. So you got John Bull's been stepping up the past couple games. Let's start with an easy one. And I don't know how much time he's going to strip from anybody, but you look at his rebounding. He had 6 rebounds. Do you have 6?
Yep.
Okay. So coach says he had more rebounds in the first half than the other 2 forwards had in the last 2 games. It's not totally true, but I'll tell you, they had 8 total between the 2 of them in the last 2 games, and John Bull had 6 this game for the whole game. That speaks volumes. Couple that with his 8 minutes too, guys. Couple that 6 rebounds with 3 assists in a deuce on the scoreboard. Okay,
And a steal.
in a steal, correct? In 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Okay, he's not even playing 25% of the game, and that's a guy we can talk about. Joe's guy, Malik. We've played a lot of tough games. Haven't gotten to see some of these other players get in there. Coach mentioned we talked about it coming into this game, getting Malik on the floor and getting him some minutes. Solid, obviously a solid talent, and just needs some time to grow. Right now, I think Bull is shining off the bench, but he's not a freshman. We got a lot of freshmen, and you've got Bull as a facilitator, which is huge. He's a very unselfish player. But what can you say for Malik coming off the bench? And what did he have? 12 in 16 minutes. He had 7 rebounds. I mean, dude, an assist.
Tied with Jesse. Yeah, I mean he got 12, shooting 6 out of 7. And I think that he missed and got his own rebound and put it back. So he's all around the rim. You saw that he was playing tough. And again, I mean, those guys were still playing all their starters all the way through. So even though those guys had more minutes, these guys coming off the bench in the second half, they were still playing against, first team guys and stuff. I mean, the one guy had 29. Townsend had 29 for them, so he was going hard the whole game.
He played 39 out of the 40 minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, Malik Brown, I think he came in, and Jim Boeheim, he said in his press conference that Malik Brown had been playing good in practice, and they wanted to get him in there, and they got him in there. And, I mean, when you look at his box score put up to, Chris Bell's and, I mean, hell, even Benny Williams. Benny Williams getting 10 more minutes than him. He looks like, he belongs. And it's going to be a situation where I think that after this game, I think you're going to see a little bit of a different type of rotation against Georgetown, and possibly moving forward. But
there was a couple combinations I enjoyed watching out there.
Well, that was the thing too, that they had a bunch of different new rotations and different people, right?
Yeah.
Some of them looked good, and
some of them looked really good. And when you are unselfish and you pass the ball and you move the ball the way they were doing, now obviously it's way easier to move a ball against an Oakland than it is a UNC, a NC State, a Carolina. Okay, but with that said, you can see it, and as long as I'm seeing, just show me something. If you're showing me something, then. And I can take something out of it, and the silver lining, and get my playing in Oakland and just destroying them. Like you said, it just, you see a Malik Brown and these other rotations that are, we called Jim Boeheim the chemist. We started calling him the chemist a few years back when this is what he used to be able to do a little bit more frequent when the non-conference schedule wasn't like as brutal as it's been the past couple years, and we just haven't seen much of it. You got to wait, you got to wait till the 8th game of the season for to come out and play around with some stuff with Oakland. I mean, so our ninth game. I'm sorry, ninth game of the season.
Right in, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think we really had a gimme. Since the game before Colgate. So
yeah, Lehigh.
Right. So it's just one of those things where they have to learn how to do this, and that's they talked about doing it in practice, and as far as passing the ball and getting more high efficient shots. When they look at they went 8 of 20 from the 3-point line, 40%.
And Joe was what, 4 for 7?
Yeah, I mean, so that's about as bad as you want to see it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's anything worse than that, and you start thinking, you're taking too many bad threes.
So
3 of 7 from the line, it's not great, 42%, but the field goals, when you look at it, take away the 3-pointers, they shot 52 2-pointers and they made 42. So that's really, really encouraging moving forward. Obviously, we're going to need to deal with rebounding and defense and all that kind of stuff. But to make 42 out of 52 2-point shots against anybody is really, really good. And that's where they're going to need to score, because we're not going to be a 3-point scoring team.
That's the next point. Brilliant. So coach says, we don't need the 3-pointers. The teams, this is important for these players to learn that this is not Buddy and Joe out there and Cole Swider, okay, from last year,
and Jimmy.
Jimmy from shooting from behind the arc. It's not that team. And as far as the freshmen goes, they got a lot of time. They don't have much time to learn it, but they are, the freshmen are new. We'll see how it progresses. But Bell is developing as a shooter. I feel like what did he do? Okay, so 1 for 4 though. 1 for 4. Okay. And coach sees a lot in him. He didn't really come down on anyone.
Threes, dude. He missed wide.
He missed 2 in a row, back to back. Yeah.
You can't ask for being more open.
Yes, exactly. So you got Justin Taylor. Okay, Justin Taylor. He played a lot, didn't score a lot. He was 1 for 2 from 3, but on the year he's 8 for 20. Justin Taylor's shooting 40% from behind the arc for the year. So when you talk about players from behind the arc, there's going to be, I think Justin Taylor develops into that. Joe Girard, we know, is hot and cold. When he's not hitting, he's got to change his game up. But like you said, this is one down low. It's with Jesse, and when Jesse's getting covered, then you've got, look, I mean, Benny has a decent jump shot. Judah Mintz has a great jump shot.
As long as it's inside the 3-point line.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. He's got both of them.
Mid-range jump shots.
Mid-range jump shots is Judah's game. I feel like that could be Benny's game. That could be Chris Bell's brought in to be a shooter. I get it, but right now I think he's struggling a little bit. What's that?
He had an awesome dunk though.
He did. Oh yes, the poster dunk. Yes.
Yeah. It was pretty good. No, gotta mention that.
It was excellent. The Jesse had to slam down too for his final points of the game. The alley-oop from Girard. Huh? Yeah. Right?
He had a bunch.
Yeah, he did.
That's
but
where it's got to come from.
That's
what I think has been missing, because it looks like in the beginning of the season that they have been playing offense like they were last year, like getting guys open for open 3-point shots.
It's not
last year we had 4 guys that could spread the floor and do that. It's not the same thing. Like what you saw yesterday, albeit Oakland, you got to be able to practice that and actually do well against lesser opponents. You see it first against lesser opponents, so that it works, gains the confidence. But that's how they got to play. They got to move the ball around. When you look at their stats, I mean, rebounding is all over the place, but Benny Williams 6 assists, Judah Mintz 5 assists, Joe Girard 6 assists, and then Samir Torrance 5 assists. Now, I think, and this just further emboldens the fact that we might have to go 3 deep or change into some wacky, rotations, because Samir, I mean, from what I saw last night, to me, Samir and Malik Brown should have some type of part in this rotation. And recently, they haven't gotten a lot of minutes at all. And he's given Justin Taylor, and especially Benny Williams and Chris Bell, enough time and enough opportunity.
He's given Benny and Chris all of the leash in the world to
at the end of the day,
do something.
Look who's stepping up at the end of the day. I mean, Samir Torrance comes in, and I know he's had a bad game here or there. Sometimes he comes in and doesn't put up.
He just hasn't put up a ton of. He hasn't had a ton of minutes though.
But I mean, 12 points. I think that might be his career high. I mean, I don't even know if he's ever had 5 assists, and he only played 12 minutes. He shot 2 or 3 from the 3, 5 or 6 from overall, and only 12 minutes. And 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. I mean, that the amount of stats that Malik Brown and Torrance put up, to me, when you look at some of these other guys, and Ajak too. I mean, Ajak's shown in the last couple of games he didn't have to play.
I'm a big fan of John.
He didn't have to play yesterday, but at the end of the day, if these guys aren't, I mean, Ajak brings to me more than just experience, because you see how he plays, right? And I think the rebounding and all that kind of stuff with the confidence, it's going to go up. But also, I mean, the one thing too is the fact that he's almost he's like a leader on the team. He's the guy on the floor or on the bench who's cheering everyone on, keeping them in a mood, right? He's the one that's on.
He's also gritty on the floor, dude.
And he's also gritty on the floor, and he's playing for his guys, and he's keeping them going. And and if you just happen to be smacked across the face, he's going to run after the person.
He's got your back.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, he, if anybody, I mean, I saw some good things. I try to watch things coming out of timeouts and how players react, and I saw Joe Girard leading and giving some, tips on the floor and trying to help his guys out. So it looks like his leadership's building a little bit more. And we talked about how he was starting point guard and starting quarterback in high school for like 3 or 4 years straight. So, I mean, the guy's got to have leadership quality. I mean, we've just talked about him and his confidence and staying out of his head. But I think, when you look at another leader, I mean, Ajak, to me, is the next guy on the list as a leader. I think everyone respects him. And I think I've heard for years that he's super easy to get along with, a great guy. And maybe that's the type of guy you need to go out there and give minutes until these other guys can figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's an easy piece to plug in.
Yeah.
And I just think that for me, and it starts with his grittiness, and everybody knows how much I love that stuff. And I love that type of just gritty, grinded out kind of guy, nasty guy, almost like fringy kind of nasty guy. Like you have to have one. You have to. That's why I love Devendorf so much. But, he plays a huge part, I think, eventually, but we'll see what happens with, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities here that we see some things get reduced, but minutes as far as Bell and Benny go. But, and it's not about who starts. We've talked about this in years past. It's not about who starts. A lot of it just comes from the combinations you put on the floor to what you're trying to adjust to or what you're playing against, right? So,
and that's also another positive, right? Like,
you have a ton of options. That's
a ton of different options that are, okay, well, this guy can't do this, but he can do this, and
right, and that's what he was talking about with John Bull, and he was saying between John Bull and even Malik Brown, how they're both going to be better at certain things, and depending on what situation we're in, one of those guys is going to, rise to the top. They're going to get more playing time and things like that. But, I would say Benny and Chris, they've got a little bit to figure it out. But Georgetown is going to be tough. We're going to be honoring Pearl at Georgetown this weekend in the Dome. Obviously, most of Pearl's highlights, you see the him and Patrick Ewing swinging at one another back in the day, and I mean, he hated Georgetown just like we did back in the day, and it's a perfect time to honor Pearl at this game, and I think it puts, for me, it's like, gosh, I just hope they win that game. My gosh, I hope they win that game, because Honor and Pearl playing Georgetown, I just want to see him get spanked. So we always have a brief discussion on the state of the rivalry between Syracuse and Georgetown. And before we get into the preview for Georgetown, I did put up a poll. I only put it up for an hour and a half. Out of 104 votes, is Georgetown still a rivalry? 51% said yes. 49% said no. So, look, I don't mind playing this game every year. I still think it's fun. It's nostalgic. I just don't. Look, if you play them every year, it could become a rivalry. Okay, because you could argue, well, Colgate's turning into quite the rivalry, or could be, right? And we played them like 5,000 times, right? So, But for me, Georgetown's the rivalry in it has fizzled. I just feel like I wanted it to be rekindled, and bringing these games in year after year, I thought would do it, but it's different, man. It's just different to me. It's just not the same. And it has a lot to do with the veracity on the court, right? So, it just is different. Okay. It's not what it used to be. And I respect everybody who said that, yes, Georgetown is still a rivalry, and I like that. I'm glad that fans still think that way. I hope everybody shows up. I hope that we get a big, nice size crowd in this game. It's going to be a 1:00 game on a Saturday. I hope they fill this thing up to be nice and loud for this Syracuse Orange basketball team. But I don't know. For me, Joe, a little lacking for me, and I can't quite put my finger on it completely, but I don't know. What about you?
It's been a little lacking, I think, because they always make a big deal about it, right? And
they make a big deal about it.
And we end up being,
the games have been
ESPN, right?
The games have been kind of close.
But they've been beating us though too, right?
Well,
with teams that really aren't that great, and
Well, that's the thing.
I think a little bit of it is because obviously, we're detached from the Big East, but then obviously I think that we've had some down years, and Georgetown's been worse than us in our down years, and yet they still somehow beat us in that, non-conference game. So I think that's really where the frustration comes in more than anything.
Yeah. So look, if Syracuse beats Georgetown, I'm thinking about a power hour just to celebrate. And that would be on Sunday. And if Joe's down, I'm down. So a power hour for a win, Joe. What do you think? You look a little nervous. Are you nervous?
No, I'm not nervous. A power hour.
As he reaches for his beer. So anyways, that's something I would like to do. We'll see. So look, here's...
basically do it while we're...
Almost, yeah.
No,
I mean, it's really close. I'm sure.
It's not that fast. No, it's not.
No, trust me. I'm worried about getting the hiccups. That's my fear.
There's only 12 shots in a beer, so it's 12 minutes.
Yeah, it's quite a bit in 12 minutes. I mean, if you think about it.
No, when you keep
it's not just the one, right? It's 5.
Pretty much like it's 4 or 5 beers. Yeah,
it's 5 beers.
Okay.
So in an hour.
Take your word for it.
Well, I mean, do the math. We already went over this.
I won't.
So what?
Huh?
Why are you being a sourpuss? The 6-game home stretch for Syracuse continues with Georgetown. The all-time series between the two teams sits at 52-45 in favor of the Orange. The Syracuse Orangemen and the Georgetown Hoyas first met in 1930, with the Syracuse winning that game 40-18. Syracuse and Georgetown both joined the Big East in its inaugural season in 1979-1980 season. I was 2. And the series became the biggest rivalry from the start when Georgetown upped Syracuse in the Manley Fieldhouse. Everybody remembers. And this ended the 52-game losing streak at home. And John Thompson's famous quote from that post-game press conference was, Manley Fieldhouse is officially closed. And that's what made us hate Georgetown even more. And every time I see that clip, I still do hate Georgetown. But, that's the other thing, is that... John Thompson is no longer coaching that team. It changed things even when his son took over for me, which has a little bit to do with that thing not being as exciting as it used to be. So since joining the ACC, the Orange and the Hoyas have played 6 times in this renewed rivalry series, and they both sit at 3-3, Joe. Now, you mentioned that, yes, the teams that we lost against, not great teams. The team we lost against last year in the 79-75 loss for Syracuse was at Georgetown. Gerard, Buddy, Edwards, Swider, and Jimmy on the court to start the game. Buddy with 17 points. And that team, I don't think, won another game until Christmas. It was actually past Christmas. It was forever after they beat us for them to win a game last year. So they currently sit 4-5. They're led by sophomore guard Primo Spears, who averaged 17 points a game. He leads the team in assists with 5 and also in steals with 2. Spears, he's in his first year with the Hoyas. He transferred from Duquesne. He's a sophomore. And the fight on the board starts with a cook, right? So this former Syracuse recruit, I believe that's how you say it. He's listed at 6'10", 205. Juxtapose that with Jesse at 6'11", 230. So this is where the matchup is going to be for me, Joe. Jesse with a little bit of size advantage, and this is what they're listed at, and I don't really know, but a situation here where Jesse's going to have to show up. He's going to have to use the little bit of size and the little bit of weight to get this thing done without fouling, Joe.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, it's
more than that.
Okay, keep going. It's worse than that. We got some forwards.
So this is the deal, right? Well, the thing is the Cook is the forward.
Right, yeah, Wahab.
Quadis Wahab is the center, who's 6'11", 245. And so the makeup of this whole team, as I've been going through and looking at it, this team is 4-5. When you look at their schedule,
Quadis Wahab also a Syracuse recruit.
Yes, so that's why you've probably heard those names. Those were the first 2 that jumped off the page when I looked at the box scores. And, Georgetown's 4-5. Law beat Coppin State by 10 in overtime, beat Wisconsin Green Bay. They lose by 12 to Northwestern, lose by 18 to Loyola Marymount, beat LaSalle by 7, lose to American University, beat UMBC by 9, lose at Texas Tech, and lose against South Carolina in overtime. And currently they are actually playing on FS2. They're playing against Siena. And what is that game right now?
You're telling the story, bro.
I think it's 36-37 at halftime, something like that. Georgetown's leading 37-36 at halftime against Siena. So when you look at them, they look like a team that's got talent. But again, the makeup of this team is super. It's all transfers and new people. Realistically, there's not really. I mean, Quadis Wahab, I think, is the only Georgetown guy.
The only veteran guy from last year.
Right. So, and the weirdest thing about him, though, is that he played at Georgetown for 2 or 3 years, transferred to Maryland, and then transferred back to Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
So he played in Maryland for 1 year. So when you look at Primo Spears, you mentioned him, sophomore, that transferred his first year, transferred from Duquesne. Brandon Murray, sophomore, first year transferred from LSU. And these are just the starters, right? And then you have a Cook who transferred from UConn. He went to UConn for 3 years and then transferred to Georgetown. And then Quadis Wahab is what we talked about. And then Jay Heath, if you don't remember that name, he's a guard, 6'3" guard that's been in for 4 years. And he played 2 years at Boston College, transferred to Arizona State, and then transferred to Georgetown. So when you look at their whole starting lineup, wasn't at Georgetown last year. And then when you go to the bench, you can look at senior Bryson Mazzone, who it's his 5th year, and he transferred from USC Upstate. Another guy that plays a little bit is sophomore transfer Bradley Eziwiro, and he transferred from LSU with Brandon Murray. And then just to top it off, a junior who transferred from Howard, and it's his first year there too. So when you look at their team, they're full of transfers. And
how ridiculous is that?
That's the world that we live in right now.
How long do we have to live in this world?
I don't know, but I looked at the box score, and unless you take away Denver Anglin, who's a true freshman guy, then a majority of the box scores and the people that are putting up legitimate points or legitimate minutes they weren't on the team last year. So not to say that they don't have talent, but they got to put it all together more than most teams, because we had 6 freshmen in a transfer come in, and we still had guys come back that, we still had 5 guys here. This is a complete rehaul. So to me personally, I think that, we should be a little bit farther along than them. But then when you look at the size and everything, a Cook is a 6'10" forward, plus Quadis Wahab is 6'11". Those guys are going to be out there, and they're going to be out
245.
there.
6'11", 245.
So they're going to be out there for as long as their fouls allow them. So
how many DQs do these guys have? Does this show that? I don't see that. I'm looking because I don't know if it's something you can see.
No, I don't see it. I mean, it would have to be a situation where, I'd probably have to go into every damn box score.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Add it up,
I'm not doing all that stuff.
No.
So.
Okay.
But yeah. It's
bothersome.
Right.
Yeah, because how do you score? So what are they? Is the game plan going to be to rely on the 3, start with going inside, not having success, and then maybe falling behind, and then now you're forced to throw up 3s? I mean, so it's dicey. It's a dicey situation, but
it is. But going off of what we talked about in the way that the last 2 games have went and what we've seen in wins. I think that Joe needs to continue to try to score outside of the 3-point line as far as not shooting 3s. Inside the 3-point lines.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He needs to. Joe needs to turn defense into offense. That's where Joe's going to be super effective in a game like this.
Yep. And Jesse, we just have to keep feeding him. It doesn't really matter. I mean, in my opinion,
get him in foul trouble.
They got big guys. You got to go at them.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Jesse's got to have some. He's got to have superior hands too, though. He lost a couple yesterday in his how many minutes did he end up with? 23, I think. So,
But this isn't going to be a game where you see a 3-guard lineup. This isn't going to be. I mean, this might be a game where you see Jesse with
Malik,
Boljak or Malik or Benny or 2 out of the 3 in there next to him, so that we can rebound and get there. Because realistically, that's what it is we got to play a clean game. We got to rebound.
Jesse's got to stay out of foul trouble. We got to get them in foul trouble. I mean,
that's a definite.
Yeah, that's mission number one. Yeah. And I worry about Jesse, obviously, not ideal. You know, does Hema come in and have to try to fill some kind of role for Jesse, which honestly, you know, what's he, 6'11", 230? I mean, that's almost exactly what Jesse is. So, you know,
that's fine.
It is. It's not bad. I mean, it's a better situation than we were in last year. That's for sure. So
yeah, absolutely. And
yeah.
You know what? I mean, he played last game. He came in for 8 minutes, had 3 fouls. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's the extra 5. It's an extra 5.
As long as he gets Jesse through to the 40 minutes without fouling out.
Right. All right. Well, that's that. I mean, we're just gonna have to see. I'm very interested I'm excited about this game. I feel like it's gonna be a good game. The last few games, if I'm not mistaken, have been pretty damn close. And let me just check. So dating back to 2015, John Thompson III for 2015-16, 79-72 loss for Syracuse, 78-71 loss for Syracuse. Ewing comes in. We beat Ewing 2 times in a row, 86-79 and then 72-71. And then in 2019 at Georgetown, we lose 89-79. Then we win at home 74-69. And then we lost at Georgetown, like I mentioned last year, 79-75. So they've been close games.
They have been. So and looking at Ken Palm, they have us at 78th, and currently our adjusted offense is 78th, and our adjusted defense is 85th. So we're still on the right side of 100 when it comes to that. And they have Georgetown as
they were low last time I checked, but
154 with an adjusted offense of 118 and an adjusted defense of 203. Well, so if we can stifle they got a bunch of new guys that are still trying to gel together, and they're going to run into our zone. That could be difficult. I mean, you got to stop them from getting offensive rebounds and second chance points. But you couple that with the fact that if we can move the ball, not exactly. I mean, I understand we're not going to be able to move it exactly like we did last game because obviously better competition. But if we can move the ball like that against that defense, then it seems like we might be able to score some points. So, I mean, to me, it's going to come down to, the whole foul and rebounding thing.
Yes, I would agree. Now Oakland came into the game last night averaging 33% from behind the arc. They ended up shooting 20. Georgetown's going to come into this game, minus the game that they're playing tonight, at 34% from three-point range. So, I don't know. That's a bright spot. Look, 33 is not good. 34 is not good. Those percentages are not good. So you would hope that that's not their game, but then again, that's everybody's game when they come in, especially at home, playing Syracuse with their zone. Oakland shot 5 for 25. 25 is a lot, dude. That's hooking them up. You know what I mean? You miss 20 3-point shots. That's a ton to miss.
Right.
So if you can force them into that, but see, it's not going to be as easy to force Georgetown into something like that. But if they can manage to try to force them into something like that, I mean, that's plan B, I guess. That's tough.
I mean, if I was Georgetown, I'd be trying to get it down low.
Oh, hell yes. Yes, absolutely.
So I think there's going to be some penetration and some drop-offs and trying to, get something in that back line, the baseline where, we can sneak and they can do the alley-oops over Jesse.
Yeah, well, I'm worried about Jesse getting in bad situations and just getting in foul trouble. That's my biggest fear.
Obviously that's going to be, we could talk about that every game, but that's going to be.
But especially for a game like this.
Well, especially, yeah, but either way, it doesn't, to me, I mean, when you have a guy where that's where you're going to start your offense, that's where you want to feed him. I mean, he didn't miss a shot last game. I mean, his field goal percentage is ridiculous, and now he's on a tear with scoring, and that's where we're starting.
66% for the year.
If he just gets 2 fouls,
he's getting pulled.
Boom, boom. Then you literally, now you don't have your starting point of your offense. Now you got to figure something else out. So, And that's the one thing we need to get better. We need to get better at attacking the rim, going to the free throw line, and doing things like that when Jesse Edwards isn't, available and not getting doubled.
Yeah.
So,
well,
we got to evolve. But the last game was a good start. And Georgetown, I mean, they got talent, they got size, but they're not world beaters. I mean, judged by the games they've lost, they're still trying to figure out how to play together. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yep. All right, it's time to hear from you.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
All right, you guys know what to do at the end of every game. I ask for your thoughts on said game. You go there, you leave them. We talk about them here. Not going to lie, I was a little worried about yesterday's game, the lack of excitement, and it being Oakland. But you guys came through. Definitely did. I remember the days where we first started this thing, and we used to have to get our fan feedback from the Syracuse men's basketball official page or the Syracuse football official page, and now we got so many I can't even get to them all, which is it's a problem. It's a good problem to have, but it's still a problem. All right, let's start with Robert. We're going to start with Facebook this time because we've been a little biased towards Twitter lately. Robert, I feel like they need that explosion for their own confidence. Yeah, I mean, Coach kind of alluded to it in so many words. The fact that we've had a lot of tough games recently, and this is a good one to get under your belt, to get these other guys out there, to kind of get them settled in. You're at home, and to just get the minutes on the floor and to be able to put one away quite easily is, you need those games. And we haven't really had them. I mean, we had Lehigh, I guess, but even Lehigh wasn't in Oakland. Every team, blue chip or not, our blue bloods or not, get these games. And it's good to have them, right? Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, they were over 300. I mean, when you're in the...
They were 306, right?
7.
307? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's
bad.
You got to do that to those teams.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. And, I think it was 26-25 at one point, and I'm just like, I wasn't worried about it, but I'm just like, come on, start blowing this thing out. And then when they started blowing it out, I'm like,
come on,
this is
something.
This is
like
come on,
with
the stick. Yeah, do something. It was just, that's typical Syracuse stuff, man. If you don't realize that that stuff goes now, then you haven't been watching long enough. All right, top fan John. Yeah, wrong one. Here we go. There's the chair. Top fan John says, nice ball movement and confidence builder, but my question what was the actual attendance, not paid attendance? I don't even think it matters. Games like this, for me personally, I don't care. I don't expect a big crowd there. Was it 6 o'clock on a Tuesday night? I don't know. I guess I just don't expect much, so I don't think about it.
Is this the time where the students are still out?
No, they should be back by now.
Aren't they out for Christmas?
Winter break doesn't start already? These guys might know. Matt, Tony, in the green room. I'm not sure. I just know that's always a time I felt like there's always a time during non-conference when kids were away for a long time, like in between semesters or something like that, where... Yeah, kids are still there. Yeah,
still there.
But that's upcoming, or it happened before Thanksgiving.
It's got to be upcoming because I think it's in between the semesters.
They leave in a week or so.
Yeah, because that's why we didn't want to do the Fenway Bowl, right? Because football players are having finals. And I think it's after finals where it's
fair. Yeah, that's one reason.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go to college; it would have made sense.
Right. Top fan, Jesse. Appreciate you, Jesse, on Facebook. Along with Edwards, Brown looks like the most polished player on the team. Not sure why he's not playing more. I think he should start. Bell moved very well between Copeland, Brown, and Benny. Future Cuse looks good. And I mean, look, Joe was huge on Brown before he ever hit the floor in an orange uniform, and he's obviously a talented guy. It is Oakland. It is good to get him out here, and obviously he had some good practices, and Coach kind of alluded to that. But these are the times to shine. The Oaklands.
Yeah, I mean, with this, if he doesn't get the time here, doesn't do what he did to yesterday, then maybe he doesn't get any minutes come Georgetown. Which again, we talked about it. I mean, they got some good big guys. I mean, their power forward 6'10", center 6'11", two guys that Syracuse recruited.
He mentions Copeland. I mean, hasn't hit the floor much. Okay, so I'm just prefacing my next comment with that, and I'm not trying to beat him up. 11 minutes, 2 points, but he just missed some easy stuff, man. I don't know if it's nerves or what, but he didn't look comfortable out there at all.
No, I mean, sometimes I think he tries to make
too much happen.
A lot of flashy passes and stuff like that. I just think that in time that'll just slow down and get a little bit easier for him.
But you got to hit the floor for that, though, right? I mean, that's my point.
But at some point during the season, it's like, okay, these are the guys I can trust. These are the guys we got to move forward. And then maybe if this guy ends up dominating in practice, throughout the year, then you end up getting him in there. It's not like you just let him go forever. But at some point here, we got to make a decision on whether or not we're going to redshirt him, or he's going to actually have a role in this team. And I think this is these next 3 games before we get into ACC play. That's really what this is.
Or does he get, if he gets redshirted, is he going to transfer? A transfer nightmare.
At this point, I don't know what to do with that, because we saw that and we talked about it earlier. Georgetown, pretty much every one of their main
their starters,
unless their true freshman
Wahab,
guard.
right?
No, it's not even that. Unless their true freshman guard doesn't come in, then every player that is in the rotation did not play in Georgetown last year. So they got everybody from the transfer portal that is basically playing on their team. I mean, it's going to happen. And as a coach, you can't sit here and worry about, if a player is going to leave next year because he says he wants to do X, Y.
Coach doesn't care about that.
But that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, that's why at the end of the day, I don't want to have a coach that has to worry about guaranteeing minutes to people without them going to the transfer portal. I mean, I don't want that kind of player. So I want a player that's going to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, and those are the teams that Syracuse used to have, though. When you speak long haul and you talk about not going to transfer portal, you also talk about not trying to test the NBA waters as well. Syracuse was always one of those teams that built and had the 4-year players, or at least 3-year players. I mean, that's how
I'm not saying that's all you have to do.
No, I know, but we don't even have that anymore. I feel like it's very rare.
Well, we've been doing transfers for quite some time.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking
recently,
about that. I'm talking about, it's not the same as it used to be. When growing up watching Syracuse basketball, when you've got 3-4-year players that they play that long together, and you just watch a team grow and get better. Now every year there's so many different faces because of the portal, because of the NBA test, the 1-year stuff, right? All of those things combined, it's just.
But I'll tell you what,
it puts teams in recruiting classes like Syracuse behind the ball a little bit. I feel like when you add all those factors in. Look, I know.
I mean, like I said, it's. I would like to onesie-twosie the transfer portal with needs, and if people want to leave, they want to leave. You look at the history of the past couple of years of all these players leaving, and people, I know they were upset about Kadari and some of the other guys and Quincy and this and that. If you go and you look at some of these players, I mean, Robert Braswell, he transferred to Charlotte, and he plays like the same amount of minutes he did here.
Well, so did what's his name? Who is the Kadari Richmond? I mean, Kadari Richmond hasn't lit it up the past 2 years.
He starts at Seton Hall
now.
Yeah.
Now.
So there was I got to give them their props for some of the information I'm giving them. I listened to Lockdown the other day, and they were talking about the former players, the transfers that left this school, and a lot of them. I mean, Bryson Goodine, he's like on his 3rd school. Quincy Guerrier, remember he put his name in the draft from here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he took it out and went to Oregon last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did so good last year at Oregon that nobody was going to draft him, so he's back at Oregon again this year. And so, like, when you look at these guys,
the grass isn't always greener.
Exactly. And I don't even know if it's the truth with Kadari. I just don't know if it was a good fit. So realistically, I'm not about just playing a player just in case, just so they don't transfer. Sorry, not sorry.
No, hell no. I'm not for that either. I mean, if you're going to transfer, then it wasn't meant to be, in my opinion. That's fine. I'm fine with it. I just think we're past all of the transfer for the fun of it thing, and now we're at the, you get one time to transfer, so you better make it right, and the NIL, right, and all of those other little things that factor in. And I think a lot of these guys, look, there's some ego to it. Some of these guys think they're better than they are. And they get with someone who's at the age where there's nothing short of brutal honesty, and they get upset. And you know what? It is what it is. I mean,
and
if you
can't
can't
play when they're supposed to, and then I can just get out of jail free card and go somewhere else without sitting out.
Right. I have a one-time transfer. I can go here or there or wherever one time, and they're promising me this, that, and the other or whatever. They've had their heads blown up all through high school, all through the recruiting process, and then they come here and then they're getting yelled at by Coach Boeheim because he doesn't care.
Thing is going to become a mess. A mess.
Gonna become.
I mean, I see lawsuits. There are stories all over the place of kids that were promised money that didn't get it.
Oof, that's terrible.
I listened to something today. Mac Brown was sitting here talking about how, and I think he was alluding to, I forget his last name. I want to say it's.
I'm talking about
his name's
football, UNC football.
Yeah, I want to say his last name's. I want to say his name's Tony Prince, but he's a 5-star corner at North Carolina that put his name in the transfer portal, and allegedly is because there's people literally calling these players up and saying, hey, if you come here, we'll give you this. I mean, he said he had a lunch with one of his players that said, are you going to come back? I mean, have you been getting calls? Has anyone been calling you? And he just laughed and he's like, there's 15 places that would take me right now, but I'm not going anywhere, coach. Like, you got people calling people up. And I mean, there's a story today. Deion Sanders tried to get one of the Clemson D tackles to decommit and go to Colorado. I mean, you can do that in certain aspects, but as soon as you bring the NIL and the money and everything, and you got players,
that's wide open.
You got boosters, and you got people calling players or getting a hold of players saying, hey, if you come here, you'll do this. And the next thing you know, they're in the transfer portal. Like, I mean, and then they get there, and then they don't get the money that the people say they're going to. I mean, it's going to turn into a debacle. I think it already has, but I don't think that we've seen the ramifications of what this has created. I mean, I don't even know when the portal just opened up, I feel like, and there's already like 1,050 players in college football.
I saw a meme that was like, "Oh, I'm third guard off the bench," and then it shows them going into the portal, and now they're like, "Oh, I'm 1,500th now." So, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Well, that's the thing too, is that there's not going to be seats for all these people.
Well, right,
and
they're going to go in the portal and they're going to rot.
Right. And so now all of a sudden the team that you thought would be a better fit for you or a better team, or you're going to get some NIL money, now they don't have a spot for you. Well, now you put yourself in a transfer portal. Now you've created drama with your past team. Now you got to turn around and go back to the team with your tail between your legs and hope that you didn't, burn any bridges so that you could actually stay on that team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the beginning of this mess.
It's not going to end well. Not great, Bob. Let's continue. Let's do a couple more on Facebook. Top fan Dominic. Thank goodness they figured it out. Well, I don't know if they figured it out yet, but they definitely figured some things out. They definitely learned how, I think we saw what Coach sees a little bit more on the practice end of things. He says this is the defense they started on their run. Now, I don't know which run he's talking about, but there was an 18-0 run to end the half, and I'm going to assume it's that because I wasn't paying that much attention. Gerard, Taylor, Bell, Edwards, and Najak. So that was one of the, and I'm bringing this up because he's done a lineup before, but this was the lineup that I was looking at when I was watching the game, and I was like, man, I enjoy this. I enjoy this, and I thought it would, it was, you know what? It wasn't Taylor, though. It was Gerard, Mintz, Bell, Edwards, and a Jock. And I also like Mintz, Gerard, Mintz, Gerard, Brown, Edwards, and Ajak. So I don't know, man. There's so many different things you can do. Like,
yeah, well, they had Malik in there for center because they knew that the other team was, not as tall as us. So they definitely got to play around with some rotations and things like that. But like I said again, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I know there's a lot of talent in. You knew coming in that there was going to be freshmen that were going to be starting and playing, but not all 6 freshmen in a class is going to be in a situation to be able to help. So, you got the people that say Copeland, and it's like, well, who are you going to take out of guard? And there's, Samir's barely getting any burn. And I wouldn't put Copeland over Samir. So
no, not right now.
No, not right now. Exactly. So at the end of the day, Bell's gotten a lot of burn. I still think that Benny is still holding on, but I just don't see. I'm not saying that Chris Bell shouldn't get minutes, but I really don't see a lineup where he should be starting. I mean, unless he's starting him to see if he's starts hot because he does know how dangerous he is at 3-point shooting.
He does know he can shoot. Yeah.
He came in saying that he was second best shooter after Joe Girard. They did, a Midnight Madness type thing in Rochester and in Syracuse, in which they had a 3-point contest at both places, and Chris Bell won it. So we know he can shoot, but when we see him start every single game, not get rebounds at the forward position, and then miss wide open threes, like he might as well have been shooting in a 3-point contest, some of those shots yesterday, and he missed them. Now, he didn't miss them by much, but nonetheless, he missed them. Those are the times and the opportunities where if he were to hit those 2 and he were to go 3 for 4, then guess what? Maybe that solidified his start against Georgetown. But I personally, and he just might do it just to do it, but you see he started and only played 12 minutes. So I think we've seen this before with Jim, and, he starts guys, I think that he thinks, like you said, I mean, sometimes he'll see if they come out and they're hot, but if they're not, they're out. And if Chris Bell can't hit anything, then he don't need to be on the floor. And I mean, that's just
is what it is. It doesn't mean
opinion.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that he won't be back. But I mean, yeah, at some point you got to say, look, there's been plenty of chances. ACC play starts in 3 games, and we need some production. So we're gonna go with X, Y, or Z. All right, last one for Facebook. What was that? Come on, give it up for Nadal. All right. Top fan, Nadal. Solid 95 points. Lots of really good ball movement today, especially under the rim. Taylor only took 3 shots in 25 minutes, though. Baffling considering his smooth stroke and that we needed to develop Buddy 2.0 ASAP. They were stuck on 95 points for too long for me, honestly. I expected to hit 100 at one point. I was like, yeah, they're going to hit 100. But anyway, yeah. It's fine. I think they're what they scored.
Played for a minute, so
yeah, that's true. They did get quite 5 minutes. So they scored 90 against Lehigh. You get a season high 95. I mean, I'll take it. It is what it is. But you always want more when you see what you got. So let's ask these 2 guys in the green room. If they think, real quick, I'm curious to know if they think Georgetown's still a rivalry. Matt and Tony, what do you think? I'm going to get set up here with Twitter real quick. I'm going to have to adjust this probably. Yep. All right. Okay. So let's see. No, it's not what it was. Yeah, I got a no and a half. 2 no's. Let's call it. Let's see. Let's start with Noah here. Illinois just beat the number 2 team in the country, so I think getting blown out by them on the road wasn't as bad as we all thought. Also, winning games is fun. Well, isn't that what we said, Joe? Weren't we talking about, look, it's Illinois. Why are we hitting the panic button so soon on the Illinois game? And I get it was frustrating to watch because it would be like an Oakland fan watching what Syracuse did to him last night, right? So,
yep.
With that said, it didn't hold any water with me. I expected that game to be ugly, and it was ugly.
I thought we were going to keep within single digits, to be perfectly honest. I guess I was a dummy.
Yeah. I'm always hopeful. But I just don't know if it was realistic. But anyways, there we go. Is that Captain? Is that Cap in there? I think it is. He changes his stuff up too much for me to keep up with. Yes, it is Cap. All right. Okay. Let's go with Cuse Lifer. As soon as I find my mouse. Cuse Lifer. At Cuse Lifer 15. Solid game to improve chemistry. It showed athleticism of Chris Bell. I think it was perfect practice game to build confidence in these young players as we get closer to ACC play. Dunks, and more dunks.
A lot of dunks.
And, you want to see... You want to see dunks, and more dunks. At Oil Cuse on Twitter, are we good again? This is a constant question from this guy. No. Are we good again? I don't know. Should I get my hopes up? No. Are we good again? I don't know if we're good yet. Okay. Should I get my hopes up? No. Let me know if we're good, Sean. I'm not sure, Cap. I'm not sure. We're
okay with an arrow on the rise.
Yeah, a green arrow. Like my fantasy football players. You get the green arrow, you're like, starting. Okay.
You go by that?
I go by whoever's projected to give me the most points.
I wish the Dunkin' Donuts.
What?
Dunkin' Donuts should have been
the Dunkin' Donut Dome?
Of the Dunkin' Donut Dome.
I agree. The JMA Wireless Dome just doesn't roll off the tongue like the Dunkin' Donut Dome.
Dunkin' Donut Dome with the Dunkin'. You got Dunkin' in there with coffee and donuts, and you got dunks out on the court.
So after halftime, you serve coffee, so everybody can drive home.
Yeah,
right.
Brilliant,
man. I think we're onto something.
Sorry, JMA, we're coming for you.
Yeah, what is a JMA anyway? Here's a little shout out to at Dave T 209. First game I was able to attend in a few years. 30-point win in early December. It's like old times. And like I never left. Yes. So, yeah, just like old times. That's exactly right, because it's been a couple years since we've had a bunch of... Well, we get cupcakes, but it's not like it used to be, let's be honest. So, here's one for you. I love some of this sarcasm from the regulars, by the way. I can't help myself. Huh? Are you in the green room?
Tony.
At Keller 0103, we didn't score 100 points. Fire Boeheim. I agree. You know what? You can't put 100 up on Oakland. It's time for him to go, Joe. That's it, okay? I've been on the Boeheim train for far too long, but that does it for me. I'm done. Like I said, they were stuck on 95 for far too long. What excuse is there for that?
Stop it.
Give me an excuse. Give me a reason.
There was walk-ons?
You can't. So what? They should walk on the court and score. That's what they should do.
I don't think that's what that means. It's not what that means.
Oh, man. That's pretty much it.
Paying for school. You know what I mean? I don't...
At Saltine Warrior says Oakland. Yeah, we know. It's Oakland. We know. I get it. But it's not what you look at. It's not what we concentrate on in those games.
But can we get something better than that?
And by the way, I think I know who this is. At Joe's Mom 44. He says she, I guess, right? Joe's mom? This your mom, Joe?
No. I don't think so.
She says nice win, but I'm almost positive that that's a guy. And I'm almost positive I know who it is.
You're almost positive he's making fun of me?
Almost positive he's making fun of you. Yes, exactly.
Fine. My mom follows.
She does on Facebook. Your mom's not on Twitter, though.
No.
She get her on Twitter.
She's not an idiot.
Oh, true. I mean, Facebook's not much better, though. What's going on in the green room?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
They were coming up with acronyms, what JMA meant.
Oh, okay.
We won't get into.
Okay, yeah, I figured. Download the app in your iOS or Android stores. Get signed up. It only takes a username and a password, by the way, and an email address. Sorry. 3 things. All right, follow us at Cuse Nation. Sign up for notifications. Get notified when we go live. You can join these fools. You can join all of these fools in the green room. And look, you can even talk if you want. But hey. Yes, follow Joe's mom. Do I follow Joe's mom? Do we follow Joe's mom? Let's see.
She's going to call the cops on you if you don't.
I do. Of course I follow Joe's. Wait, no, hold on a second. I don't. Here we go. Giving Joe's mom a follower. I think they're up to 2 now.
You're a creep.
Nope, they're up to 1. I'm the first one. I think I know who it is.
No one likes my mom.
Huh? I like your mom. I just followed her. She threw a 44 in at the end of it, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think it's you.
I think Anthony wants to know if your mom's hot, Joe. She's older now. She's a good-looking lady, though. Joe, is your mom hot? That was Matt.
Bro. Come on, man.
Joe's mom. Joe, when I was in Pine Grove, your mom was what? She worked in the office, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I thought. I remember that. I thought
62, man.
I know. Well, both of our parents. Well, my mom's 64.
By the way, speaking of that, 6:44 to go. Georgetown is beating Siena 62-56.
Okay, well, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. But Cook just got an offensive rebound.
Cap, they're asking for digits, Joe. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you handle that. Oh boy!
911.
All right, 911.
Look,
as for Joe's mom, 44.
so we got more fan feedback?
No, that's it. We're
No.
done. We're done.
Boys,
We're done.
in the room, y'all want to talk about something? You guys got anything?
Oh, yeah, if you guys want to get on
Yeah.
stuff, you got to do it earlier than what you've been, too, because we got to go. We love you. We love you all for listening. We love you all for coming in the green room. We love you all for your fan feedback. Honestly, truly, we do. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.